I'm 23 and I work night shifts at a warehouse about 20 minutes outside of town. I get off at midnight most nights, and by the time I get home and eat something, it's usually close to 1 o'clock in the morning. I know that sounds late, but that's when I go to the gym. There's a 24-hour gym near my apartment called Ironworks. It's a smaller gym, nothing fancy, just the basics. The reason I started going that late was because I hate crowds. During the day, that place is packed, and I can never get on the equipment I want. But at 1 a.m., it's practically empty. Most nights it was just me, and maybe 1 or 2 other people. For about 5 months everything was fine. I had my routine down. I'd walk in around 1:15 and leave by 2:30. The front desk was unmanned after midnight, so you just scanned your card at the door and went in. There were cameras, but I always wondered if anyone actually watched them. One night in October I walked in, and the gym was completely empty. That wasn't unusual for a weeknight. I put my bag down near the bench press and started warming up. About 15 minutes into my workout, I heard the front door beep. Someone had scanned in. I didn't think anything of it. I kept doing my set. When I finished, I looked toward the entrance and saw a man standing just inside the door. He was tall and thin, wearing all black with a hood up. He wasn't moving toward any equipment. He was just standing there with his hands in his pockets, looking around slowly like he was scanning the room. His eyes stopped on me for a second, and then he walked toward the back of the gym near the emergency exit. He sat down on a bench back there and just stayed there. No stretching, no warming up, nothing, just sitting. I told myself I was overthinking it. Some people take a while to get started. I went back to my workout, but I kept glancing toward the back of the gym. Every single time I looked, he was in the same spot, sitting on that bench facing my direction. After about 20 minutes, he finally stood up. I thought, okay, he's going to start working out. But instead, he walked toward the locker room and disappeared inside. I didn't hear the shower turn on. I didn't hear a locker open or close. It was dead silent back there. 5 minutes passed, then 10. I started getting this feeling in my chest like something was wrong. I decided to cut my workout short. I grabbed my bag and walked toward the exit. As I passed the hallway that leads to the locker room, I glanced down it. He was standing at the end of the hallway in the dark, just standing there facing me. I didn't stop walking. I went straight to the door, scanned out, and got in my car. I locked the doors immediately and pulled out of the parking lot. As I was driving away, I looked in my mirror and saw him standing outside the front door of the gym, watching my car leave. I didn't go back for 3 days after that. When I finally did, I made sure to go a little earlier, around 11:30, hoping there would be more people. Inside, there were 2 other guys working out when I got there. That made me feel better. Everything was normal for the first 40 minutes. Then one of the guys left. Then the other one packed up and walked out. I was alone again. About 10 minutes after the last person left, the front door beeped. I looked up and felt my stomach drop. Same guy, same black hoodie, same slow walk inside. This time, he didn't even pretend to sit on a bench. He walked in and stood near the cable machines, about 30 feet from me, and just watched. I pulled out my phone and pretended to text someone, but I was actually opening the camera. I took a photo of him trying to be casual about it. He must have noticed because he immediately turned around and walked back toward the exit. He pushed through the door and was gone. I saved the photo and went home. For the next 2 weeks, I didn't see him. I thought maybe he had gotten scared off knowing I took his picture. I started feeling comfortable again and went back to my usual 1 a.m. schedule. Then one night after finishing my workout, I walked out to the parking lot and noticed something. My car was the only one in the lot, which was normal. But parked on the street directly across from the gym entrance was a dark sedan with its headlights off. I could see the faint glow of a phone screen inside. I got in my car quickly and drove home. The entire drive I kept checking my mirrors. I didn't see anyone following me, but I couldn't shake the feeling. 2 nights later, I was walking from my apartment to my car to head to the gym. It was dark out and quiet, like it always is at that hour. As I was getting in my car, I looked across the parking lot of my apartment complex and saw a figure standing near the dumpster area about 60 feet away. They were just standing there in the dark, not moving. I got in my car and locked it. I turned my headlights on and pointed them in that direction. Whoever it was had moved behind the dumpster. I could still see part of their shoulder sticking out. I didn't go to the gym that night. I went back inside my apartment and locked the deadbolt. I sat on my couch for an hour just listening. The next morning, I went to the leasing office and asked if they had cameras covering the parking lot. They said the cameras had been broken for 2 months and they were waiting on a repair. That did not make me feel better at all. I filed a police report and showed them the photo I had taken at the gym. The officer said unless the person made direct contact or an explicit threat, there wasn't much they could do, but they would document it. I canceled my membership the next week. I bought a basic set of dumbbells and a pull-up bar and started working out at home. It's not ideal, but I don't care. I also started parking directly under the one working light in my apartment lot, and I installed a cheap security camera outside my front door. It's been about 4 months now, and I haven't seen the guy again, but every time I take the trash out at night or walk to my car after dark, I still look around. That feeling of being watched doesn't just go away, because the person does. It sticks with you, and I don't think it's ever fully going to leave. I'm Rachel, and I'm 21. I just finished my junior year of college in North Carolina. I'm studying nursing, which means my schedule is all over the place. Some weeks I have clinicals at 6 in the morning, and other weeks I don't have class until noon. The only thing that stayed consistent was the gym. I started going to this small, locally owned gym near campus about 2 years ago. It was cheap and never too crowded, which was perfect for me. Most of the people there were college students or older guys who had probably been lifting there for decades. It had that old school feel to it with rubber flooring and chalk on the barbells and no fancy machines. I loved it. I always went alone. I had a few friends who worked out, but our schedules never matched up, so I just got used to going by myself. I never had a problem with it. I'd put my headphones in, do my thing, and leave. Simple. Last fall, around mid-September, I started noticing something small that I almost dismissed completely. Every time I walked into the gym, there was a towel draped over the bench closest to the door. Not just sitting there like someone left it. It was folded neatly and placed in the center of the bench like someone had set it there intentionally. It was always the same white towel. The first few times I didn't care at all. I figured someone kept forgetting it, but after seeing it there 5 or 6 times, always on the days I went, and always on that same bench, I started paying attention. One day, I moved the towel to the front desk and told the guy working that someone kept leaving it. He looked confused and said no one had reported a missing towel. I shrugged it off and went to work out. The next day, I came in and the towel was back on the bench. Same spot, same fold. That was the first time I felt a small knot in my stomach. A few days later, I was on the stair climber near the back wall. I had about 10 minutes left in my session when I noticed a man come out of the men's locker room. He was maybe in his late 30s or early 40s. Average height, average build, wearing a plain gray shirt and black shorts. Nothing about him stood out physically. He walked to the bench near the door, the one with the towel. He picked it up and just held it for a second. Then he looked around the gym slowly until his eyes landed on me. He didn't smile, he didn't nod. He just looked at me for a few seconds and then sat down on the bench with the towel in his lap. I looked away and focused on my workout. When I got off the stair climber about 10 minutes later, he was gone. The towel was back on the bench, folded the same way. Over the next couple of weeks, I started seeing him more often. He was never there when I arrived. He always seemed to show up 15 or 20 minutes after I got there. He would come out of the locker room or walk in from outside, and he would always go to that same bench first. Every time he picked up the towel, every time he looked at me, he never once used a machine. He never touched a weight. He would just sit or stand or walk around slowly, always keeping a distance, but always with his eyes drifting back to me. I told my roommate Jess about it one night. She said it was probably just some awkward guy who didn't know how to approach someone. She told me not to worry about it. I wanted to believe that, but something about the towel thing didn't fit that explanation. It felt like a ritual. One evening I finished my workout and went to the locker room to grab my jacket from my bag. When I came out and walked toward the exit, I saw the towel on the bench as usual, but this time there was something underneath it. I stopped and lifted the corner of the towel. There was a small piece of paper with something written on it in pencil. It said, "You look strong today." My skin went cold. I dropped the towel and walked out of the gym fast. I sat in my car and locked the doors, and just sat there for a few minutes trying to process what had just happened. I called Jess and told her. She told me to stop going to that gym immediately. I told her I wasn't going to let some creep run me out of the only gym I liked. Looking back, that was a stupid mindset, but at the time, I was more angry than afraid. The next day I went back, but I brought Jess with me. We worked out together for about an hour. He never showed up. The towel wasn't on the bench either. That made it worse somehow because it meant he knew when I was alone and when I wasn't. Jess couldn't come with me every day, so the following week I went alone again. Within 20 minutes of walking in, the towel appeared on the bench. I hadn't seen anyone put it there. I was watching the door and the locker room entrance the whole time, but somehow it was just there when I turned around. I went to the front desk and asked if they had cameras. The guy said they had one camera that covered the entrance and one in the parking lot, but nothing inside the actual gym floor. I asked him to check the entrance footage from the last 30 minutes. He pulled it up on his phone and we watched it together. Nobody had walked through the front door since I came in. That meant he was already inside when I got there. He had been in the locker room or somewhere in the building waiting. I left and didn't go back. The next morning, I found a folded white towel on the hood of my car in the apartment parking lot. I called the police that same hour. I filed a report and told them everything. The officer asked if I knew the man, and I said no. He asked if the gym had footage of the parking lot, and I said I would check. The gym owner pulled the footage, and there was a figure on camera at around 3 in the morning walking through the parking lot, but the quality was too poor to make out a face. The police increased patrols near my apartment complex for a couple of weeks. I never saw the man again. No more towels on my car, no more notes, nothing. I joined a bigger gym closer to campus with cameras on every wall, and I never go alone anymore. It's been about 6 months now, and sometimes I still check the hood of my car before I get in. Every time I see a white towel anywhere, even at a hotel or a friend's bathroom, I get this wave of unease that I can't explain. It's like he trained my brain to associate something completely ordinary with fear. And that might be the worst part of all of it. He didn't have to touch me or threaten me directly. He just made me feel like I was never really alone.